In the early 16th century, the Ottoman Empire was already a powerful force, having conquered vast territories across Anatolia, the Balkans, North Africa, and parts of Europe. However, despite the empire's immense growth, the Ottomans began to see the need for a shift in focus, particularly toward the Eastern Mediterranean and the Arabian Peninsula. These regions were of immense strategic, economic, and religious importance, and the Ottomans recognized that controlling them would solidify their place as the preeminent power in the Islamic world. The empire's earlier focus had primarily been on Europe and the Balkans, where the Ottomans had secured vast territories. But as the 16th century unfolded, the Ottomans began to turn their attention to the south and west, seeking to assert their dominance over the Mediterranean and the Arabian Peninsula. This shift was driven by multiple factors, including the growing threat of European powers in the Mediterranean, the strategic importance of the Red Sea trade routes, and the religious significance of the Islamic holy cities in Mecca and Medina. The Eastern Mediterranean had long been a region of great importance for trade, culture, and military strategy. For centuries, Venetian, Spanish, and other European powers had competed for control of the Mediterranean Sea, which served as a vital trade route connecting Europe, Asia, and Africa. The Ottomans, who had already established a stronghold in North Africa, began to recognize that controlling the Mediterranean would give them a significant economic and military advantage. In the early 1500s, the Ottomans embarked on a series of naval campaigns to secure control of the Mediterranean, decisively defeating the Venetians in battles such as the Battle of Preveza in 1538. By the mid-16th century, the Ottomans had established themselves as the dominant naval power in the Mediterranean, effectively pushing out the Venetians and securing control over crucial ports along the coast. Algiers, Tunis, and Tripoli all fell under Ottoman control, and the Ottomans were able to control the western Mediterranean and dominate maritime trade in the region. This new focus on the Eastern Mediterranean was driven not only by military strategy but also by the economic potential of the region. The Ottomans were able to capitalize on the Mediterranean trade routes, which were crucial for the flow of spices, silk, textiles, and other luxury goods between Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. By controlling these vital trade routes, the Ottomans ensured that they could both dominate the economy and prevent rival powers, especially Spain and Venice, from gaining control. The importance of the Eastern Mediterranean was further emphasized by its proximity to the Pekin Simiti, to the Kikunfi to the Pitin Mediterranean was further emphasized by its proximity to the Pitin Sintu, Ottoman heartland in Anatolia, and its strategic position as a gateway between Europe and Asia. As the Ottomans secured their control over the Mediterranean, they also began to turn their attention toward the Arabian Peninsula, home to the two holiest cities in Islam, Mecca and Medina. These cities were not only important for their religious significance but also symbolized the Ottomans' legitimacy as the guardians of Islam. The Ottomans understood that their role as the protectors of Mecca and Medina was crucial to their identity as the Islamic Caliphate, a title that gave them religious authority over the entire Muslim world. The Hajj pilgrimage, one of the 5 pillars of Islam, was central to Islamic life, and by controlling Mecca and Medina, the Ottomans ensured that they could secure their place as the spiritual leaders of the Muslim Ummah. The conquest of Egypt in 1517 was the critical first step in the Ottomans' move into the Arabian Peninsula. After defeating the Mamluks in a series of battles, including the Battle of Redania, the Ottomans gained control of Cairo, which was the key gateway to the Hejaz, the region that included Mecca and Medina. Sultan Selim I, recognizing the religious significance of these cities, quickly took steps to ensure Ottoman control over the holy sites. He was proclaimed as the custodian of the 2 holy mosques, a title that bestowed upon him the responsibility of protecting Mecca and Medina and overseeing the Hajj pilgrimage. The Ottomans understood that their religious legitimacy was tied to their control over the Islamic holy sites, and they made substantial investments in infrastructure to facilitate the pilgrimage. Roads, caravansaries, and pilgrim inns were built to accommodate the millions of Muslims who traveled to the holy cities every year. The Ottomans also provided security for the pilgrims, ensuring that the journey was safe from threats like bandits or rebellions. In addition to safeguarding the Hajj, the Ottomans undertook extensive construction projects in both Mecca and Medina, including the expansion of the Holy Mosque of Mecca and the Prophet's Mosque in Medina. These projects made the holy cities more accessible and reinforced the Ottomans' role as the protectors of Islamic traditions. The Ottoman presence in the Arabian Peninsula further solidified their position as the foremost authority in the Muslim world, a status that would persist throughout the empire's existence. The Ottomans' shift in focus toward the Eastern Mediterranean and Arabian Peninsula was not just a military or economic decision. It was a strategic move to ensure their dominance over the Islamic world. By controlling the Mediterranean trade routes and securing the holy cities of Mecca and Medina, the Ottomans not only gained immense wealth and military power, but also enhanced their religious authority, positioning themselves as the guardians of Islamic tradition and the Qimalish, protectors of the faith. This expansion allowed the Ottomans to shape the political and cultural landscape of the Middle East for centuries to come, as their influence extended far beyond the borders of their empire, reaching the hearts of Muslims across the globe. The Ottoman Empire's shift toward the Eastern Mediterranean and Arabian Peninsula in the 16th century was not merely a matter of territorial conquest. It had profound and far-reaching consequences for the regions it controlled. Once the Ottomans had secured their foothold in the Mediterranean and Arabian Peninsula, they worked to solidify their power through military strength, economic control, and most significantly, religious authority. This strategic focus on the Eastern Mediterranean and Arabian Peninsula transformed the Ottoman Empire into a dominant force, not just militarily, but also culturally and religiously in the Islamic world. The Ottoman Navy became a formidable force in the Eastern Mediterranean. With the acquisition of key territories like Algiers, Tunis, and Tripoli, the Ottomans established dominance over the Western Mediterranean, securing trade routes and enhancing their military presence. The Ottoman fleet, which had already seen success in the Battle of Preveza in 1538, continued to expand its power throughout the Mediterranean, pushing out European powers, particularly the Spanish and Venetians. Ottoman naval victories further cemented their authority in the Mediterranean, and the Ottoman Navy became a crucial aspect of their power projection across the region. This control over the Mediterranean not only ensured the Ottomans' dominance in trade, but also allowed them to secure key port cities, which became important hubs for commerce and military logistics. The Ottoman economy benefited immensely from their control over Mediterranean trade routes, facilitating the exchange of goods, including spices, textiles, and silver, that passed between Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. But the Eastern Mediterranean was not just about trade and military dominance. It was also a cultural crossroads. The Ottomans recognized the significance of the region's cultural heritage and worked to integrate it into the broader Ottoman cultural sphere. Syria, in particular, became a vital center of learning, with the Ottomans investing in the construction of mosques, schools, and libraries, contributing to the flourishing of Islamic art, architecture, and science. Damascus and Aleppo became thriving urban centers that attracted scholars, artists, and traders from across the empire. Ottoman rule also brought stability to the region, encouraging economic growth and the development of infrastructure. The Ottomans promoted religious tolerance within the Eastern Mediterranean, allowing diverse communities, including Jews, Christians, and Muslims to coexist under their rule. This diversity enriched the cultural and intellectual life of the region, further enhancing the Ottoman Empire's legacy as a multicultural empire. As the Ottomans focused on consolidating their control over the eastern Mediterranean, they also turned their attention to the Arabian Peninsula. The conquest of Egypt in 1517, followed by the Ottoman annexation of the Hejaz region, was a monumental achievement for the empire. Control over these holy cities was vital not only for political reasons, but also for religious legitimacy. The Ottomans, as the custodians of the two holy mosques, became the religious leaders of the Muslim world. The title of custodian of the two holy mosques granted the Ottoman sultans authority over Mecca and Medina, further solidifying their power and influence. For Muslims across the globe, the Ottomans were now seen as the rightful protectors of Islamic tradition, and their role as guardians of the Hajj pilgrimage gave them a significant place in the hearts of Muslims everywhere. The Hajj pilgrimage, one of the 5 pillars of Islam, brought Muslims from across the empire and beyond to Mecca every year. The Ottomans ensured that the Hajj was protected and facilitated, providing safe passage for pilgrims and building infrastructure to accommodate the thousands of travelers who made the journey each year. They constructed caravansaries, inns, and pilgrim routes to ensure that the pilgrimage could be completed without incident. The Ottomans also provided security during the pilgrimage, preventing bandits and rebels from disrupting the peaceful journey. The Ottomans' role in the Hajj pilgrimage became a crucial element of their legitimacy, further bolstering their position as the spiritual leaders of the Muslim world. While the Ottoman Empire's focus on the eastern Mediterranean and the Arabian Peninsula brought significant benefits, it also created tensions with neighboring powers. As the Ottomans expanded their control, they came into direct conflict with the Persian Safavid Empire to the east, particularly over territorial disputes in Iraq and the Caucasus. The Safavids, who were also vying for control of the Islamic world, viewed the Ottomans' dominance over Mecca and Medina as a direct challenge to their religious authority, and the rivalry between the two empires would persist for centuries. Furthermore, the Ottomans faced growing competition from European powers such as Spain, France, and Venice, who sought to challenge Ottoman naval and trade dominance in the Mediterranean. Despite these challenges, the Ottoman Empire continued to expand its influence over the eastern Mediterranean and Arabian Peninsula through a combination of military power, diplomacy, and religious authority. The Ottoman Empire's shift in focus toward the eastern Mediterranean and Arabian Peninsula had lasting consequences for the Middle East. The Ottoman rule brought stability and economic prosperity to the regions they controlled, allowing for cultural exchange and the flourishing of Islamic civilization. The Ottomans' role as the guardians of the Islamic holy cities solidified their position as the spiritual and political leaders of the Muslim world, a status that would persist for centuries. Their naval dominance in the Mediterranean and control over key trade routes gave them immense power and wealth, making them one of the most influential empires of their time. While the Ottomans eventually faced challenges to their dominance, their legacy in the eastern Mediterranean and Arabian Peninsula endures to this day, with their impact still felt in the region's culture, architecture, and religious practices.